humid deep dub house punk disco jams. If I could control some psychedelic paintings with live computer graphics, I would do that. A lot of times I say I'm looking for something organic, and that could be interpreted in about a million different ways. And by what I mean by it pretty much is I'm trying to get through the digital manipulation of sounds and images so that the digital part recedes. Basically, you get enough control over digital technology, and then you can start using it as a lens, really as a camera into subjective other realities, and I'm not interested in the artifacts of digital technology. Me, I'm trying to make it a window into an analog world that's different subjective realities, and that's got nothing to do with, you know, being pixelated or being polygons or whatever. Started with Max Matthews at Bell Labs. Max Matthews was a pioneer of computer music. In the early 80s, they made this thing that is, I think, really, you know, shames most of the kind of controllers that are available commercially today. It's like a 3D theremin, and it senses the position of each drumstick above a pad that's about the size of this magazine here. So I have on the pad different, you'd call them virtual drum pads. It's divided up into 12 different zones. So when I hit one zone, it knows that, and it knows how hard I'm hitting it and with which stick I'm hitting it. But also it knows where in the air above the pad these sticks are in an area about like this. So it's got X, Y, and Z, and by hitting the pad, the way I've set it up in this particular piece, 6 axioms, I make particles, which are audiovisual particles. They have spatialized sound in a space, which encompasses basically the audience and myself, and is projected onto the screen. And also they are visualized as if you were looking at the space with the camera. So I'm making this space, which these simulations go on in the space that are like subjective realities. And then by moving the sticks around on the controller, I can direct the flow of these particles and kind of paint things in 3D, or swim through these 3D worlds that I make with the particles. The artist I'm most influenced by in this particular work is Stan Brakhage, who's an American filmmaker. Brakhage would take film, the actual physical film stock without a camera, although he did a lot of stuff in the camera, but he would take the film stock and paint on it with a variety of different inks and paints, and just paint directly on it, and then maybe scrape off parts. It's like moving, flickering paintings. to try and mimic something analog or film is really, really hard, and I'm still pushing the computer as much as I can. I was thinking that for me, my work has some rough edges in it still, in terms of presentation, but I would rather have that and try to be packing in as much meaning as I can than to have smoother edges and less meaning, fewer layers of meaning. I started doing audiovisual performances in around the year 2000, and I took a Max MSP basically for the synthesis abilities that it had. Like, I checked out other things that were available at the time, basically Reactor, I think, and some of the VJ type programs that were going on. And I started writing. I really liked what you could do sonically with Max, so I started writing my own OpenGL graphics objects to really make the most of the graphics hardware that was going on at the time. And that was around the time that Joshua was starting to think about jitter and work on the foundation of jitter, which is a matrix processing and graphics extension to Max MSP. And so my work that I'd done kind of got rolled into the project. We met and gave a talk together at SFAI in San Francisco, and that turned out to actually kind of be my interview, I think, for Cycling 74. And then we went from there, and for the next year worked on jitter. And so a lot of the objects that are in the 3D realm, the kind of way the OpenGL data flows through matrices and jitter, that is stuff that I created.